All right, on today's episode of Locked On Avalanche, we'll take one more look back at Game 4 and put a bow on that while we look forward to the all-important Game 5 in Dallas. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thank you for tuning in, making this your first listen of the day. Always appreciate it. And if you want to get in on the conversation, then join our subtext. Link is in the show notes below. Chat with Kyle and I one-on-one. Get your opinion, everything Avalanche related, and share it on this very podcast. We'll dive in with the subtext people in a little bit. We'll get their predictions and thoughts on how Game 5 could go, and the question that's kind of maybe getting thrown out a little bit is the Ross Colton thing. If and when he were to return, because I don't think Bednar has given a definite on that yet, but we'll throw it out there now. Why not? Because if it does happen, we're going to have to ask this question maybe again. But if he were to return, who does he replace now? Because this is just a revolving door, like typically is an Avalanche world, where when Landeskog came back, we were asking who would he return. It kind of worked itself out with the Ross Colton injury, but now if Ross Colton returns, who does he replace? It's just the never-ending cycle of being an Avalanche fan.
You know, I appreciate this question because it shows the Avalanche are deep, and we actually have problems of who actually gets to play instead of who do we get to call up, who do we have to patch to make this team function. Like, it's a good problem to have.
And it's always interesting to ask this question in the playoffs, because I feel like it's a different answer in the playoffs than it is compared to the regular season.
Yeah.
And I will explain. Well, I'll let the answers do the talking when we get to that. So we'll do that in a little bit. But like we always do, we kind of just go back and button up the most recent game, have some leftovers, things that are still sticking with us from the most recent game. I'm sure there's a lot with this one. So what do you got from Game 4?
And, you know, walking away, going back and looking at the game one more time, something I don't want. I know we were giving stick taps to a lot of unsung heroes, but we did not talk about how incredible top to bottom the defense was. Every line of the defense. Like we talked about, like it was great to see shorthanded power play, like everything clicking. Sam Girard even scoring a goal. But my goodness, the Avs defense, second period, limited the Stars to 5 shots, 7 in the third, and completely eliminated. We talk about that comfort level where you don't worry, like we talk about the goalie position, like you don't worry about the goalies because you just don't even think about them anymore. This one, it didn't matter what the Stars were doing. You never felt like they even had a chance. And you could see it statistically. They honestly could not get settled and set up anything. And Josh Manson was a +3, for goodness sake. Like it shows you, like, yes, the offense looked great. The energy was high. Gabe Landeskog, all that beautiful bean footage, but that defense looked so good. And again, that didn't even have Eric Johnson a part of it. So
yeah,
I definitely had to praise that defensive effort. It was incredible.
You're right. It was excellent. And they just, again, you just felt like they were comfortable. Like they were just where they needed to be. Everyone knew their assignment. Nobody was blowing assignments or anything like that. So I'm over on hockey stat cards. And that's the graphic. Who they just have, everybody has their own lines. They're going left or right. To the left is bad, to the right is good. I'm looking to see here. Almost, let's see. So Sam Girard, number wise, they assign everybody a number, like a game score. He was number 1 for the game. Number 3 was Josh Manson. 5 and 6 was Taves and Makar. 8 was Sam Malinsky. So that's like that right there is your half line. Like maybe, yeah, that's right around a half. And how many defense? I mean, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. and Lindgren is maybe another couple guys down. Usually on these stat cards, your forwards are towards the top.
Yeah.
And you have your defenders kind of like mixed in there. But 5 out of your 6 defenders are at the halfway line above it. That just speaks to exactly what you're talking about. So yes, that was a fantastic game. And when there's a goose egg on the board, you look to the goalie right away, and that's okay too, because Mackenzie Blackwood did what he needed to do in that game. Was he tested like immensely? No, but I think that's because of what you're saying in how the defense kind of made it easy for him. They really made it easy for him, and all he had to do was just stop shots that he could see, and that was pretty much all 23, 24 of them, whatever they were. So yeah, from that side of the ice, that was a great game plan, and it was executed wonderfully from the defense.
And that's the wonderful thing about hockey. Like, you have defensive efforts like this. Yes, it helps Mackenzie Blackwood have an incredible game that he had, but it also helps the forwards continually get things going. Constantly gives them the puck, gives them confidence where they could set up and start making an impact. Like, when you have games like this where you're taking shots away, taking pressure away from your goalie, you're setting up your forwards, like, it's business as usual. That's what you want to see out of a defense.
We got a question from the Mayor Charles here. Did ask a question, and he said, "It's a great episode this morning. My morning leftover is a question. What is it that changed between games 3 and 4, other than effort and grit? And we seem to flip a switch and begin to dictate/dominate the competition. Sometimes I think the team goes into a game thinking talent alone makes us deserving of a win. That doesn't happen, especially in the playoffs. Would love to hear your thoughts." So, and it's a good question, because you see that. You see a team who just played 2 days earlier, and then this game is a complete different look on how they play. And you ask just the basic question, why? Why is that? Why can a team go from looking not as good as they did in game 4? Why can they just turn it on? And he says, other than effort and grit. Well, those are 2 big things, my man. Like, those are 2 reasons why. Some of it is game planning and execution. You hear that word all the time in sports, and it's so true. Like, yes, like guys need to execute in order to make everybody look good. Everybody executes, then things happen, and you're putting points on the board or you're putting goals in the net, and then everybody looks like they're brilliant. So that cures everything, is scoring. No matter what sport you're playing, that cures everything. And sometimes that's difficult. And when you're not scoring, sometimes you're pressing a little bit more and not doing what you're supposed to do and not knowing your assignment and getting away from all of that stuff. And I think it helped the Avalanche to get on the board relatively early, and the way they did it in a shorthanded goal with Logan O'Connor just kind of sets the tone for the game. And then on the flip side with Dallas is you get them out of their game. And I've said that multiple times. You play your game and you force them to make the mistakes and you get them down, then they have to change how they're playing, because what they're doing isn't working. And when they have to change what they're playing, how they're playing, they didn't prepare for plan B as much as they planned for plan A. So when you have to go to plan B, it kind of just, it's very difficult to get back into the game after that.
Yeah, and I think it goes even farther back than that. I think it's the end of game 3. Sitting in that locker room at Ball Arena with the crowd completely taken out of it. Overtime 100%. Loss, you're kicked in the gut. You're down 2-1. Drop another one at Ball, you're going back to Dallas with the possibility of going home for good. And the last time Landy scored a goal was against Tampa Bay, game 3 of the Stanley Cup. The last time the Avalanche had a long road in the playoffs. So you know what you have to do. You're looking around, you're down 2-1. You've seen the stat about how long the Stars have led, and they have the series lead. You look around and say, all right, let's fix this. And you saw Pete DeBoer. He said, I knew the Avs were going to push. They felt their backs were starting to get against the wall. And it was the reason why they pulled Oettinger so early. He said that shorthanded goal was a backbreaker. He said, I knew they were going to push. So that's why we just went ahead and made the decision when we did, because you knew we had nothing to match what they were doing. Their push was bigger than ours. And for Pete DeBoer to say that, the Avalanche, they realized that too at the end of game 3. Hey, if we don't step it up to playoff mode, like we can win games, and you almost did. You took them to overtime. But regular season play does not equate to playoff success. So they just kicked it up another gear. We talk about this team having another gear, and that's collectively in that locker room with the quiet ball arena. They decided, hey, let's take it up one more level. And you saw that all 60 minutes of game 4.
Sometimes like you can get too deep into like the analytics of it and kind of just get too immersed in stuff like that and look at the numbers and all that is relevant and holds value. And sometimes it's just your back is against the wall and you need to come out swinging. Sometimes it's just that. And just from that, the effort level just improves even more. You're just on it a little bit more, knowing that if we drop this one, the writing's on the wall. And sometimes it's just that simple. And yes, and being at home and the crowd being involved, that's a factor too. And then you get a goal from Gabe Landeskog, and come on, it's like after that, like those guys were probably just floating and just doing everything right and being where they needed to be. That was as good of a game played in the playoffs as you can ask for. Now they got to do it again. You got to do it again. And that's the interesting part is it's always back and forth, because now you're looking to see, because Dallas is a team that lost. What do they have? What's their response? So if you're the Avalanche, you're sitting there just like, oh, let's just go out and do the same thing. Yeah. But that doesn't mean Dallas is going to go out there and do the same thing, because they just lost. So they're not going to go do the same thing because that didn't work for them. So now they're going to give you some different looks. How did the Avalanche adapt to that? And you want to be the one, you want to be the aggressors, and you want to be the one setting the tone. But Dallas is going to not want you to do that. So this is why I just love the chess match of playoff hockey. It's beautiful.
It feels more like a fight scene in like a transporter movie. Like it's just constantly throwing around punch and counter punch. Like this is going to be a fun one, and it's going to be a deep series, and I can't wait to see where it goes.
So let's get our first break in, and then when we come back, we'll bring up that topic of if and when Ross Colton does return, who's he replacing? Some interesting. I'm interested in your thoughts, because I don't know what they are, but I'm interested if they are in line with what our Subtext crew is saying.
I don't even know my thoughts half the time.
All right, we'll do that next. All right, have you ever checked your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, Colorado Avalanche jerseys and memorabilia and all that fun stuff, it's easy to lose track, and that's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center, and you can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off of your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. The code again is LOCKEDONNHL, and you get half off of an entire year. Go check them out right now. All right. So, good problems to have, like you were saying, for the Avalanche. Loved that they are a deep team, and you are seeing that now, and you'll see it if and when Ross Colton returns. The last I heard Jared Benner talk about him, say that he was still hurting, I believe he said. And I don't think he had a time frame. Correct me if I'm wrong in that comments, but I don't think he's thrown out a time frame. Have you heard anything?
No, I haven't heard anything either.
So let's just talk about it now, because of why not, and the way that Gabe Landeskog is playing. Because I think when Landeskog came back, it was like, okay, we're going to have to take this a game at a time to see how he feels. And I think there's still some truth to that, although he has come back and looked really like the Gabe Landeskog of old. It's weird to say that, but it's true. So assuming that he's good game after game, and he's a staple, obviously. Whenever Ross Colton does return, if it is at some point during these playoffs or this series. I don't know if that's going to happen, but it's an interesting question to hear what the answers are of who he would replace. So I want to get your take on it, and then we'll go through some subtext people and my thoughts because it's interesting.
I think it's got to be you're putting Colton on the wing and taking out Jonathan Drouin.
That is where so many people are going right now with this.
Well, it's honestly, it's because everybody else is like Natchez. It's about to get there.
Okay.
Like, you don't want to pull Lecky right now, being snake bitten, not being able to score.
No,
because you got to get him to get one.
Mm-hmm.
But I honestly, that's the easy one.
Is Drouin?
Yeah, easy. I'm
okay.
Gonna think twice about it.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
See, and that's why I said earlier, like it's amazing how the narrative changes when it's the playoffs. Because if this is the regular season, nobody's saying Jonathan Drouin. Nobody is. And I think that people are feeling like because he's by the grand scheme of it struggling a little bit, people want to yank him out of the lineup.
Well, this isn't just a me thing and a vibe thing and a fan thing. This is also a Bednar thing. He got sub 10 minutes in this game. He got demoted. He's on the new hook train. Like,
he's also second on the team in scoring in these playoffs. Believe that or not. He is second in the team in scoring. Nathan McKinnon and Logan O'Connor each have 5. Jonathan Drouin and Sam Girard have 3. They are second. You know who has 0 points? Who I'm replacing right now? It's Kiviranta. Why would it not be Kiviranta? I'm not trying to come down on Kiviranta. I think he's had a great season. But who do you feel like could come out of their shell more in any game, in a playoff game? Jonathan Drouin or Yoel Kiviranta? To me, it's Jonathan Drouin. I don't. And again, that's not trying to knock Kiviranta, but I just don't like. I would be more comfortable with Drouin in there. And if a game is coming down to the wire, which how many playoff games do, I have more faith in the scoring ability of Jonathan Drouin, which you might need a point, you might need an assist, you might need a goal. I'm more confident that Jonathan Drouin can do that over Kiviranta, even though Kiviranta had one of his best seasons scoring wise. But I don't know. Go ahead.
Here's the interesting little diagram that we're working on here.
Mm-hmm.
Ross Colton, I feel more confident will get you a point over Jonathan Drouin. What Kiviranta brings you, I put him in the same kind of class as like Parker Kelly. Like, he could surprise you with a goal, but he is everywhere. He is present. Mm-hmm. He's physical. And I think that's what he brings. Like, he has his spot. He has his role. Drouin is losing his. And I think that's what's the difference between Kiviranta and Jonathan Drouin. Like, Jonathan Drouin isn't even fulfilling his role and is getting demoted and filtering his way down, where Landeskog, who hasn't played in 3 years, has already taken that spot.
Right.
And that's that. Ross Colton coming in, I feel more confident that he would produce over what Jonathan Drouin is doing. And Kiviranta, you don't want to mess with that dynamic, because you take out Kiviranta, that messes up all of the fourth line. And that's been one of the better lines. I just don't like, even Lehkonen, he had a wide open net in game 2, couldn't score. Like, with all of his issues, and Natchez as well, I still feel like they could explode in game 5 much more than I do with Drouin.
But Kiviranta is really more playing on a third line than a fourth line, because that's why, the funny thing is, like, you're not seeing a lot of people say Parker Kelly, because he doesn't want to break up that line. That's your main fourth line, is Kelly, Drury, and O'Connor. Like, that line's been phenomenal. So that's where I'm like, you don't want to take out Parker Kelly because he's a fourth line guy. Like, you're not just pulling out a fourth line guy because he's on the fourth line and inserting Ross Colton because he's not a fourth line guy. It doesn't work that way. It's who's producing right now. Fourth line's been fantastic. Kiviranta's on your third line, and it's mainly him, Coyle, and it was in the last game, him, Coyle, and Drouin. Now, if you remove Colton you put in Colton and remove Kiviranta, then your third line is looking like Kiviranta, Coyle, and Drouin. That's not that bad. And maybe because Colton is more of a playmaker, he can help out Jonathan Drouin. And like how Drouin's, when he's always playing with Nathan MacKinnon, he benefits from Nathan MacKinnon being a playmaker. I am not saying Ross Colton is on the level of playmaking abilities than Nathan MacKinnon. I'm just saying he has that. He has that a little bit more innate sense of offense than Kiviranta does. And maybe you see if Drouin can benefit from that. That's kind of where I go.
And like I get that philosophy, but we are also on the trajectory of Drouin stumbling through the lineup. And I feel like taking a game off and sitting him on the bench and saying, hey, look, we got to get this corrected. You've got NHL time and experience. Things are not like, we're cutting minutes now. You've lost your spot on lines. You're cutting minutes. You're going to sit here. It's going to be Colton, Coyle, and Kiviranta, and swap it out for game 6. But something has to happen because Drouin is kind of free falling, and he's not, and that's frustrating him. And you know how he gets. Like if he gets frustrated, that's his focus, and nothing else is happening on the ice. And I think that's the leaking part. I would feel better with Colton, Coyle, Kiviranta than I would Drouin, Coyle, Colton, because that's still you hear the name and you're like, oh, because of just what he's done in the playoffs. We're talking about playoffs. Regular season does not matter to me because Colton would be on second line, top line with how he started the year.
Yeah,
but
and he was on the top line.
Yeah, so regular season does not matter in this equation. Right now, Drouin's on a free fall. Everybody else is doing well in their spot.
I'll say this. Remember what we were talking about after a couple games and Malinsky hadn't played? And we were like, if Malinsky comes in, who could he replace? And we were floating the idea of maybe it's Sammy G.
Yeah.
Because he had a rough go to start this series, and he was the best defender in game 4. So, and that's where you have to just make a decision and roll with it.
Yep.
And what you're saying, maybe that's a good thing too, of, hey, let's give him if he needs it, give him a break for a game, see what happens. And this is all, again, if Colton comes back. This is what we're talking about right now will not be for game 5 because Colton's not coming back for that. Drouin will be in. Kiviranta will be like what you had in game 4 is what you're going to have for game 5. This is just forward thinking here. And if by the time Colton does come back, you're going to have more games to go off of. So you could be right. If it keeps going the way it's going for Drouin, then it could be him who maybe takes a game off. Hey, just take a seat, watch, see what's going on. But it is odd to see him. They're all assists. There's 3 points. They're all assists. So he hasn't got on the goal sheet yet. But you're going to have some time. You're going to have some time to see if he can correct this. And then if he starts playing normal again, then the question gets even more interesting. And if you do pull him, that speaks a lot to the offseason in him because, oh, by the way, he's not under contract after this year.
Well, I think it already does that he played under 10 minutes in a game that never was in doubt, that you could have easily rolled your deeper lines and gave them more ice time and rested the guys that your top line, rested Landeskog, and you still played 9 minutes. Like that speaks very, very loudly to how the front office and the bench feels about him right now.
Interesting. So a couple people from Subtext chime in as Cody is the one who brought this question up. So he says, I don't think the fourth line gets messed with, works too well. I think Colton and Coyle work well together. So as crazy as it might sound, if it wasn't for his role on the power play, I could see Drouin being the odd one out because I think he's better than a middle/bottom 6 player, but hasn't done enough to keep his top 6 spot in this series. But I could also see Kiviranta because I think Drouin does get his game. I'd see his ceiling. If Drouin does get his game, I'd see his ceiling is higher. So it seems like those are the 2 guys.
Yeah, I like Kiviranta off the puck more than I do Drouin.
Tanner says we need where'd it go? That's the next one. So hang on, we'll hold on to that one. Christina says, as far as who sits if and when Ross comes back, I think it all depends on who has the highest level of production. In the playoffs, it's all about production. If there are certain guys who are not being as effective, then you pull them and put someone else in that spot. The Avalanche are in a unique situation where they can build a team around how the other team is playing. So if a player doesn't seem to have a good grasp on the opponent, they can get pulled and someone else can be put in their place. It was kind of like we were saying, like it's different in the playoffs. It's what are you doing? Like, because we don't have time to screw around and get you to find your game again. So she's right. She's right. It's all about when he is ready to come back, you have to assess everything. And if you're not pulling your weight, you're going to be sitting. So, yeah.
Let's talk about Jimmy Vesey.
I kind of forgot about him, honestly. Jeez. Let's see. So Adam says, my guess is Kiviranta. Wood is already out. Statistically, the next one out would be Drouin. I don't see that happening. Has to be Kivy. I mean, statistically, like I just said, if you're going off points, you wouldn't go Drouin. But you have to go off of the eye test, and you have to go off of how things are going for him and turnovers and not producing on the power play. That's what you're going off of. So I can totally understand that. Case says, seems like it has to be Kivy or Kelly. I just don't think Jonathan, excuse me, Jared Benner loves Parker Kelly.
I do too.
He loves him. He loves him. So, and then finally, Joe says, honestly, right now, I'm not sure. Kiviranta, I guess, or Drouin, because we don't want to touch that bottom line. There you go.
Yep.
So that seems to be the mark right there is those two guys. So. But Jared Bednar's got to make his decision, and he usually pulls the right strings on this stuff. So whenever it happens, we'll see. So, all right, let's get to Game 5. What we're expecting for that, and I think our Subtext people have some predictions for that one too. So we will do all of that coming up next. All right, if you're looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious, crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. And Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller for longer. We tell you all the time, Kyle is the shell variety man. I am the no shells. It's just too much of them. I don't need more cleaning up. I have 2 kids. I don't need more cleaning up, even though they're little shells.
It gives me purpose, Chris.
You feel like you're accomplishing something when you,
right.
Yeah. I don't feel like I've accomplished anything, so I'll just go with the no shells. So get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com right now to learn more. All right, so we got a Game 5, big one. So now we have a best of 3. So you're going into Dallas, and how what we were just talking about at the beginning of the episode. Sure, you want to go in and just keep that momentum going, play that same game, and hope Dallas plays their same game too, which you know they're not going to. But what are you expecting in this one?
See, this one scares me a little bit more because, like, you hope that they can replicate, but you don't know what Dallas is going to do. It's not like the Cavalry's coming in. How rattled is Oettinger? I just,
that's a good question.
It's like, how much is this really, especially when you're looking across the bracket and you're seeing what's going on with Connor Hellebuck. You're
more of the same over there, man. That's amazing. Yeah.
So when you see all this going on, goalies get that in your head. It's bouncing around, and I mean, can they take advantage of it? This is going to have to be the Avalanche have to just drown out the crowd and get scoring early. Really get in Ottinger's head. Everybody in front of him. It's not really going to be the impact. It's going to be, do not start shooting those lame duck shots that you have done in 2 and 3 and start giving him confidence. Make your shots matter. Get them by him. You can't pepper him with 20 shots that he gets on his blocker every time, because then he's going to start believing, Game 4 was a fluke. I got it now. I'm back in the saddle. You cannot let that happen, or it's going to be a long, long game.
It's interesting. You say like, how rattled is Oettinger, and it's funny. Like, I feel like what's rattled him, maybe, and I don't think he's rattled. I want to say that, um, but there's maybe more rattling coming from the fact that his coach pulled him, and he's like, and I'm sure he understands it, but he's got to be thinking, man, if I give up another 3 goals when I'm playing well, are we just going to continue to just throw in the towel on these games? So,
and you do that.
You wonder where his headspace is after that game, because he played well, but he still got pulled. And I understand that. I understand the whole reason why. But when you're a goalie, they're thinking differently. So it's all it's all mental. So I really wonder how he's feeling.
And then you get to listen to your home crowd and all your fans reacting when those goals go in and get quiet. You feel like you're letting everybody down. And then that second one and that third one, you start listening and it starts weighing on you. And you look over the bench. Am I getting pulled again? It all starts building. This is where the Avs need to take advantage of that.
Well, with how we were saying how the Avs fed off the crowd, the crowd will be behind Oettinger. They know how well he played in this game, despite the Avs just being everywhere. So it could be one of those games where if he's stopping pucks, not letting anything in, it just builds and builds and builds. And every save he makes, that crowd will just have an uproar, and that just lifts him up too, right? So yeah, you got to get to him early. That's always the goal in any game, but you want to get to them very, very early. Get one early. I don't care if it's a greasy goal. I don't care if it ping pongs off of 3 defense. I don't care. Get one in the net early, and again, make them feel as rattled as they can be. These guys are professionals. I'm gonna say they're rattled, but and you've been up on this series like 98% of the time. So keep that trend going, get an early goal, play with that, and keep doing it. Just get right back to what you were doing in game 4. Easier said than done, but yeah.
Because with a goalie, it's like playing a video game. It's the blinking health bar, or if he starts building that confidence, it's like he heals himself and it's a brand new life bar with a brand new color on top of it. You're in for double trouble.
We do have some subtext chiming in on this. Cody, if the Avs stick to their game, even with Dallas stepping theirs up, I think the Avs can win this 3-1. Don't let Dallas slow it down and play a trap style of game. Avs should use their speed and make it a bit of a track meet, as I don't think Dallas can keep up with the Avs. No, they can't. And I think that was one of the things that the Avs did, was they used their speed to their advantage, which they always want to do. Dallas just found games 2 and 3. It was the back checking.
Yeah.
Back checking in 2 and 3, Dallas was on it. And for whatever reason, they just couldn't. And it's tough when you have a team as fast as the Avalanche. If they can get out ahead, just get far enough out where you eliminate that back check, then that's half the battle. So they got to keep doing that. Adam says it's going to be tougher. Dallas is going to be angry and the fans will be loud. This will be the 3rd overtime game of the series, but this time the Avs pull it out 4-3 in overtime, and Mr. Valnichuskin gets the winner.
I got to stop with this overtime.
I can't do the overtime. I love them, but I hate them.
Oh, I hate them.
Like I can watch a normal, like the regular 3 periods, the full 60, and as soon as it gets to overtime, it's just I'm tensing up.
Overtime's for sickos.
Tensing up. Shorzy, our boy Shorzy, says they need to come out swinging and match Dallas's pace. So what Shorzy saying is, who's going to set the tone, boys? Who's going to set it? You can bet they're going to come out full throttle, but we need to silence that early and shut their home ice advantage down. Goal from Landy again, or a goal period should help, depending on who plays in net for them. We need to make him work crashing the net, setting up shop in front of the net, and cleaning up any rebounds. Perimeter shots are not going to be winning strategy for us. So
there's no way DeSmith gets that net.
No, God, no. It's not like, it's not like Oettinger's been playing poorly. No, that was just we're thrown in the towel type of thing.
Oh, if Landy gets another goal or DeSmith is in the net, go ahead and start booking round 2 tickets.
If not for Oettinger, this would have been a sweep.
Yep.
It would have been. Oettinger's been fantastic. Mark says Dallas may jump to an early 1-goal lead. We don't want that, Mark, but I understand where you're going. Okay. They'll definitely want to get back to smothering the Avs in the neutral zone, but I just feel like the Avs found the way to mitigate the Dallas effort to do just that. Avs will need to keep finding the open ice, work the timing against Dallas line changes, and keep that effort. Logan O'Connor knocking down Harley to get the shorthanded goal type of effort. Stay off the penalty kill and keep up the accuracy with shooting. 4-3 Avs. That's what Mark says.
If we stay off the penalty kill, what's LLC going to do?
I know. Well, continue to be awesome is what he's going to do. Yeah.
Be the mayor of Denver.
And finally, Vargar says it's going 7 no matter what. I think Dallas plays a tight game and wins game 5 late in the third with a Wyatt Johnson goal. Then the Avs will win game 6 and Landy will get the winner. And then he didn't give us his game 7 prediction, so we'll have to wait on that, I guess. What do you think? How's this one going to
go? This is going to be a 4-1
Avs. 4-1 Avs. You feel like it could be. That's the thing. Like you feel like it could be a 4-1. It could be a 2-1 overtime. It's just the series has not had. It's not had a good flow of like consistency, at least coming from the Avalanche. So we'll see. I don't know, but I feel good. Feel how they played in game 4. You got to feel good about going into game 5.
Yeah, it's gonna be 4-1, a goal a period. Dallas will score in the third, pull the goalie, empty netter is the fourth.
There you go. You heard it here first. Mr. Shaggy Von Damas.
I've never been right. Don't get it tattooed on you, please.
No, I'm not getting that one. All right, that's going to wrap it up for today. We'll be back after game 5, kind of discuss everything that went on during that. So make sure you tune into that one. But for this one, thank you for tuning in, making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. He's Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We'll see you guys tomorrow, where you've made it through another 24 hours where Sidney Crosby's that much closer to being with the Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah, in a parade. Will he win?